When you start building community for yourself that is revolving around fitness, all of a sudden that fit part of you becomes your identity. So we're never going to be the top dog in any of those things, but we can be a better version of ourselves and just accept, hey, there's going to be better people out there. And it's not like those better people are going to look down on us.
You'd be surprised how everybody wants to lend a hand to the newbies.
Welcome to the Hard Way podcast with Joe De Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Races. We're teaching you how to overcome your obstacles in your life the same way we teach our 10 million plus Spartans to overcome obstacles on the course, with insight from the smartest, most accomplished experts from every corner of the world. Get ready to elevate your life today.
Joe De Sena here, CEO and founder of Spartan and host of the Hard Way podcast. I got my buddy Taren Gesell on the line. This guy is an animal. He motivates the world. He is a gazelle. I see you drinking coffee though. Are you motivated?
Tea, a little bit of licorice tea today.
Everybody complains about motivation, especially the first half of January, right? We get really excited with our goals. We're going to change our life. We're going to pick up some amazing habits, and 80% have already quit. What happened? They lost motivation?
I think they have a poor structure. I think that everyone has the right motivation starting, but going and doing these big life-changing New Year's resolutions by yourself is very hard. And the way that we try to tell people to structure yourself for success, we use 3 tips. Number 1, set a scary goal. So whether it's a Spartan race, an Ironman, something that scares the hell out of you, that you think you probably can't do it, that will get you out of bed because it starts creating doubt. And how do we alleviate that doubt? By working hard. Thing is, it's tough to get motivated to work hard by yourself. So the second part is tell somebody about that goal. Don't just say, I'm going to run a marathon and then write it in your diary and go away. Tell somebody. And all of a sudden that builds that accountability. Third part, if you start working out with people, like you've done with a lot of the things that you do on the farm, that starts pushing you a little bit more. It builds that accountability. You do those 3 things, I think that the numbers switch. Instead of 80% of people dropping off, 80% of people are going to do it.
I couldn't agree with you more. You're literally speaking my language. I've been dabbling, competing in events since, let's say, the mid-90s. And I was just like everybody else. I didn't have the motivation. I didn't want to run 10 miles or 20, whatever it required, right? And I started thinking about Rocky Balboa. And how when he had a fight on the calendar, or any fighter had a fight on the calendar, they train. Why would they get heavy and fat? And then 90 days before the fight, they're like going to fight camp and they're like, why not just stay in shape all the time? Because it's hard to do. But when you got that fight on the calendar, it scares you and you're going to be embarrassed and people are going to watch you on TV, you get out of bed, to your point.
That's the thing, that embarrassment, that accountability, that's a tool. That's not a defect. And we can use that to our advantage by building in some structure, building in some accountability, building in some friendships. And the really cool thing, especially for people that are going through a big change, a New Year's resolution, or just midway through the year say enough's enough and they want to change their life, when you start building community for yourself that is revolving around fitness, all of a sudden that fit part of you becomes your identity. If it's just something that you do for 1 hour a day, not quite your identity, but if all of a sudden your friends, your conversations, the posts that you make on Instagram are all about fitness, it becomes you and it doesn't feel like something you have to do. It feels like who you are.
You redefine yourself. And that's what I saw happen to myself, which was every week, literally every weekend, I got to have a date on the calendar. I've got to have something. So I never fall off. And then before you know it, if you do that long enough, that's who I am. It's my fabric. That's my community. Yeah. Those are my conversations. The woman I meet is in the middle of this ecosystem, right? It just becomes you.
Yeah, I really struggled with that in my 20s. I was 215 pounds and at 5'8", that's not a very good look. It's pretty tough to find size 40, 30 jeans. And at my mid-20s, I just got fed up with it, started going to the gym, but it was always that 1 hour a day that I did fitness. The rest of the day, I wasn't a fit person. I was still the regular person, but I went to the gym. Then all of a sudden, triathlon came around And sure, for a couple of years, I did triathlon, but it was still just the 1 hour a day thing. It wasn't until I started stepping up in distance in triathlon, taking on marathon swims, like big, really scary things, that I started thinking to myself, hey, I need to step this up. I need to start talking to some people who know what they're doing. And all of a sudden, I built some friends. And that's when I felt like a fit person. That 215-pound kid slowly trickled away, but it wasn't until that community was built around me that the shift changed mentally.
How do you recommend people build a community? For me, when I reflect back on my journey, I met the community in this new ecosystem. I met these people, right? I got sucked into it. A lot of folks are stuck on the couch. They don't even want to cross the bridge to the community. So what do you recommend they do in their, like, how do you find people that are willing to go out on a limb and try this wild stuff?
You're kind of talking about one of the biggest problems of 2025 that the world faces right now. I think we forgot how to build community, and a lot of the ways that we built community went away for several years, and our phones and the life enhancement devices have not made it easier. I think it's more challenging to build real, genuine friendships now. I remember thinking back to when I didn't have that community and I was dabbling in fitness. I wasn't ready to put myself out there and hop in a Speedo in front of a bunch of people and try to swim laps. It took me a few months to do that. And I think being a little bit kinder to ourselves and just accepting, hey, maybe we're not going to become that fit person in the fit group right away. And we might need 3, 4, 5 months of suffering by ourselves and working hard and building that foundation. And then when you feel confident, stepping up and just joining whatever it is. If it's a local run club, if it's a master's swimming club, if it's a local group ride, there's no shortage of community. I think the in-between starting and showing up for that first group workout is the hard part that you probably have to do on your own.
As you're describing it, I'm thinking about I was just in Saudi, and I heard about a run group that was up at 5 a.m. It was 35 minutes from my hotel. I got to get up at 4. I got to look somewhat decent because I'm the Spartan guy. I got to be there by 5. I'm not really these are runners.
Proper runners.
Yeah, these are just runners. And I thought the only experience I've ever had like this that I didn't like anywhere in the world all these years is the one I didn't do. Just get the fuck up, Joe. Wake up early, get out there. And sure enough, it was an awesome morning. As I'm describing it to you, it was a run club. They were their Saudi community, men and women. It was not my scene at all because, again, I'm not a road runner that's getting ready for some marathon. I got them to do burpees at the end. They had never done those.
Of course you did.
So I guess my message out there for anybody listening is you will be pleasantly. I'm thinking about the moment I first showed up in Singapore. My family just moved to Singapore. I heard about same thing. I'm just remembering a run club in Singapore, humidity, heat, early morning, took my kids 10-mile run. It was awesome. It was awesome. So you're scared. You're not in shape. It's not your crew. Right? You're like, people are probably really nervous just about going up and talking to people. That's probably a big inhibitor.
Yeah, huge inhibitor. And something that really helped me understand that it's okay to show up in whatever group it is the phrase, there's always a bigger bear. So at first, I was just getting started in triathlon, not very good. Then I had a little bit of talent, and all of a sudden I could creep onto podiums in local races in my age group. Ooh, wow, okay, big moment. Thought I was hot shit at that point. Then all of a sudden, okay, well, I look and how do I get on the podium of the overall race? Well, now I got to start competing with people that do this as junior elite athletes. Okay, well, I can do that. Start getting on those podiums. Then I start traveling internationally with races. All of a sudden, I'm not hot shit anymore. It just kept going over and over and over. And then when I start training with elite athletes, pros, semi-pros, people that do this for a living, even they talked about, so-and-so in the world, I can't touch them. Inhuman. So we're never going to be the top dog in any of those things, but we can be a better version of ourselves and just accept, hey, there's going to be better people out there. And it's not like those better people are going to look down on us. They might look down on us if we don't show up, period. But if we start coming, maybe you can be the top dog in a smaller group. Like you start taking those steps.
Not only that, people listening right now or watching, you'd be surprised how everybody wants to lend a hand to the newbies. Like I was the newbie in that Saudi run club. I didn't really need any hand holding, right? I've done enough stuff, but they were very welcoming and very not you'd be surprised. Everybody wants to help.
Most are, I think, particularly in things like Spartan, Ironman, these big, scary events. We're all out there getting our ass handed to us.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's finishing these races feeling like they conquered it. Maybe we feel like we conquered a little piece of ourselves, but we all got our asses kicked in these races. Like, best half Ironman I ever did. The last 5K felt like I was falling apart and wanted to give up. Best one, personal best, huge. But I think that knocks the ego out of a lot of people. And that's why I like endurance races, because it's big, it's scary, but it also brings you back down to earth really nicely.
Yeah, it does. It does. I like to say it softens the hard edges, right? It makes you humble. Like when I've shaken a lot of hands of, combat athletes and Olympians and special forces. And I'm just so shocked at how humble most of them are. And I think it's because they've been beaten up and ground down and sandpapered, right?
Yeah, one workout at a time that feels like you got your ass handed to you. Yeah, that'll calm you down a little bit.
Well, you said it earlier. What was the third one? The first one was big, hairy, audacious goal. The second one was community. And the third one?
Kind of the same thing. Second one was tell somebody. Third one was work out with people. Commit to working out with a running group. That one's probably the hardest, scariest for somebody starting new. But even just doing something like having a friend that you say, let's go through this together, makes a huge difference. I actually tested this out with my wife about 5 years ago. She wanted to do 30 days straight, working out every single day. And what we did was we wrote down what she wanted to do for 30 days. And then I said, next thing I want you to do is write on the piece of paper with your training plan what your goal is. For her, it was complete 30 days straight. Then I said, take a photo of it, send it to your friend Rebecca. And that's when she started going, whoa, hey, too far. She did it anyway. Rebecca said, I'll do that with you. Next day, my wife said, every damn workout is getting done. Like, just instant motivation.
You built an app around this methodology.
Well, the number one place that we actually get users from is from people who have done things DIY. It's training plans for endurance races. So they've either done things DIY, or maybe they tried a training plan that they stuck on a fridge. Maybe they even had a one-on-one coach. After years of struggling and just kind of going sideways, what they tend to find is, okay, last ditch effort, I'll just try an app. It's basically people that gave up on trying to improve. And what happens with our app is, because we focus a whole hell of a lot more on how do we keep people motivated and enjoying the process and feeling like every week is a win, go figure. Most of them get faster. We're not doing lactate testing, and our workouts are good, but they're not like world class, anything really fancy. It's just a good, proper workout structure. Our daily active user rate is 400% higher than most fitness apps. Really, really good. And we have people that are faster at 63 than they were at 49, because it's just doing the basics over and over and over and over for months and years on end. That's how they start getting faster.
You want to laugh, guys, everybody listening. So I've always been terrible at pull-ups my whole life. I don't know how many years ago, 5-6 years ago, I said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to do 100 pull-ups a day, every single day, forever, just because I got to get better at pull-ups.
You're sick, Joe. That is a sick goal.
But if you looked at my pull-ups every single day forever, you'd say, Joe, they suck. I've had coaches, friends of mine say, those are the worst pull-up ever. This morning, the team came over to film me doing something, and they said, hey, can you just do 10 pull-ups because you said, and everybody was ready, like they were going to be the worst pull-ups ever, and they were great. And they said, how could they be great when we see you work out and they're so shitty? And I said, they did studies on Olympians. Olympians are not working most of the time at 100. You can't do 5-6 hours a day at super intensity. I'm like an Olympian when it comes to pull-ups.
That was a huge thing that I learned when I started training with world champions. When we go traveling, this wasn't all the time, but go traveling, go to a race, and all of a sudden start training with world champions, or go to a training camp and there's a bunch of world champions there and we go for bike rides. It was like one day out of 12 that they did a hellacious workout. We're talking like something that would make your eyes water, and they would do a run workout that I couldn't do on a bike. But the other 11 days, they're just doing a lot at a low intensity. And it's a little bit over and over and over. And it wasn't until I actually started doing that that I started improving. I was that same person that got good, but then went sideways for about 5 years. And it wasn't until I changed to polarized or a pyramidal training model where most of the time, pretty chill, nothing exceptional, but 1 or 2 days a week, I would do a workout that would take an hour or two to recover from after, like that I started getting faster. Yeah.
I love it. How do people find you?
Search triathlon anything online, and you'll probably see Triathlon Taren on YouTube, on Instagram, podcast. Mymotive.com is our company website. That's where they could find the app. But if you search triathlon anything, got 10, 12 years of content out there.